Ladies and gentlemen, the Indiana Pacers are terrible, but they are rebuilding, which is a long time coming, really. They should have been rebuilding a long time ago, but now they got some pieces to build around for the future, like Tyrese Haliburton, Chris Duarte, and Isaiah Jackson, and some other good role players like Terry Taylor and Dwayne Washington. So I'm going to talk about this young team and what their future looks like. Now, first off, let's talk about how the Pacers absolutely fleeced the Sacramento Kings at the trade deadline, getting Tyrese Haliburton, Buddy Hield, and Tristan Thompson, who they later cut, for Domantas Sabonis, Jeremy Lamb, and Justin Holiday. Lamb was coming off a very shitty year. He's been really shit this year. Sabonis, here's the thing for the Kings. The Kings, their problem is defense, and Sabonis does not help that. I don't see the Kings being even a playoff team in the West this year, maybe next year, but still, I don't see them competing for a championship. So trading their future away was really stupid, and the Pacers got an absolute steal, a guy to build around in Tyrese Haliburton. Now, Tyrese Haliburton was drafted 12th overall by the Sacramento Kings in 2020, and he had a really good rookie year, averaging 13 points per game on 47% shooting. And really, he looked like he was their point guard of the future. He was in the Rookie of the Year running, even though he was definitely not going to win over LaMelo Ball. He was still in the running. In the next season, he was even better with Sacramento, averaging 14.5 points per game. But of course, in the middle of the season, they traded him to Indiana, where here in Indiana, he's been averaging 20 points per game, 11 assists, on 48% shooting, 45% from three, and really he's proven that he can be a star when he has the right opportunity. Now, Chris Duarte, which is really the guy that's going to be Tyrese Haliburton's co-star for now, he's averaging 13 points per game on 43% shooting this season. He was the 13th overall pick, and the reason that he was late in the lottery was because he's 24 years old, which is a little old. And I think if he was even 2 years younger, he would have gone a lot higher in the draft. And really, I think he has a lot of potential, and he will work well with Haliburton. Now, Isaiah Jackson, who was their other first-round pick this offseason, a center out of Kentucky, he is averaging 6 points per game on 2 rebounds, and that's not very good. But he hasn't played a lot, and his per 36-minute stats are actually really good. They're 21.5 points per game on 10 rebounds, and really when he's had the opportunity to start in games, he has proven to be very effective, and he even had a 27-point game a couple weeks ago against the Clippers. So I think he's really shown flashes of potential. When he gets more playing time, he will play a lot better. Now let's talk about guys who could be role players for this team one day. And one of those guys is Terry Taylor, an undrafted 6'5" power forward averaging 9.5 points per game on 59% shooting. And he's averaging 7 rebounds per game, which is very impressive considering his height at only 6'5". And really, he's a great rebounder, as I've mentioned. He's very athletic, very energetic, and he works well in the pick and roll game, and that will be great with Haliburton. Now let's talk about another undrafted free agent out of Ohio State this time, Dwayne Washington Jr., who's averaging 9 points per game on 37% shooting, which 37% shooting is not very good. But when you look at the per 36-minute stats, he's averaging 16 points per game, which really shows that if he gets more minutes, he will be very effective. And honestly, I think he's a great sharp shooter, and he will definitely work well with Haliburton. And really, they have a lot of sharp shooters, like I mentioned, Duarte, Buddy Hield now, and now Dwayne Washington Jr. Now let's talk about 2 guys that I feel like they won't be on the team after this season. Let's talk about Jalen Smith, who honestly, he's been great for the Pacers. He's averaging 12 points per game on 59% shooting with 6 rebounds. But at the same time, the Suns declined his team option, and of course they traded him to the Pacers for Torrey Craig. And the Pacers can only pay him at most $4 million in free agency, and other teams are definitely going to outbid the Pacers. And the other guy I wanted to talk about was Goga Bitadze, who has been very hit or miss this season. He's averaging 5 points per game on 44% shooting, but sometimes he shows a complete lack of awareness, especially on defense, and I don't see him being on the team next season. I see him getting traded, possibly to move up in the draft, even though they're definitely going to have a top 5 pick. Maybe to move up with that Cleveland pick. Now, a guy that I feel like needs to be traded this offseason for the Pacers is Malcolm Brogdon. And Malcolm Brogdon, he honestly needs to be a shooting guard, but they put him at point guard, even though he's not a true point guard, really. And honestly, he's always injured. He's very injury prone. and he's overpaid, so definitely trade him. Miles Turner, I don't know. I think he could be a really good veteran for this team. He can provide some great leadership, and also he is the best shot blocker in the NBA, so it'd be good to keep him. Now, TJ Warren, you might remember him as the guy that dropped 53 on the Philadelphia 76ers during the bubble, but at the same time, he's also a great scorer. He averaged 19 points per game in his last fully healthy season. And last season for the Pacers, he only played up until December when he had to get foot surgery and he was out for the year. And he has not played since then, and he's a free agent. So who knows what's going to happen with that. Honestly, I would sign him back to like a prove-it type of deal. Maybe like a 1 year or a 2 year deal for very cheap. Or just let him walk if he wants more. Now, people have said that head coach Rick Carlisle, who's one of the best head coaches in the NBA in my opinion, might not stick around for a rebuild, but in my opinion, I think he will, because he's been heavily involved in the decision-making process. He was at the draft and at the trade deadline, and those both proved to be very successful for the Pacers, so this is great for the Pacers to have Rick Carlisle involved with decision-making, because you saw how it went with Dallas. He helped bring in Luka Doncic during the draft. Now, the draft is going to be one of the most important drafts in Pacers history. I'm going to tell you why. They have a top 5 pick. They have another first-round pick from Cleveland, which they got in the Caris LeVert trade. And they got another pick from Houston, which is a second-round pick, but it's so high up in the second round that it's basically a first-round pick. So really, if I were the Pacers, with like the 4th or 5th pick, maybe go for a guy like Jaden Ivey if he's available. If he's not available, maybe Paolo Banchero, but I doubt he's available too. Really, some guys I want to see the Pacers draft are Jaden Ivey and Johnny Davis, Keegan Murray. I would say those 3 are the most realistic. I think they're very possible for the Pacers. And yeah, I think the Pacers, if they can hit on this year's draft, they're going to be set for a long time. So honestly, yeah, if the Pacers play their cards right, they have something special with Tyrese Haliburton, who I think is a future All-Star for sure. He's a future All-NBA player. I mean, really, Tyrese Haliburton, he is the perfect point guard. He's great on defense, great playmaker, great shooter. He can do it all. So yeah, this team is going to be set for a long time if they can hit on this year's draft. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.